This is a tutorial just before I put the final coat on. Now I haven't really done many tutorials on this because there's loads of things on the YouTube anyway that explains what this is. But basically this is the chest plate that I've done, and it's a stage really before I do the final rub down and perhaps put the final bit of primer on. And I just want to go through a few points that I use and tips that I use that some of you might want to employ when you're doing yours. And the first thing, if I zoom in, you can see what I've actually done here is that I literally get a pastel pencil and scrape the lead using a crafts knife onto it. And what that allows me to do is just by rubbing it, so I'll show some of you may be able to see the focus. It just gives me a rough idea what the texture is going to be like when I actually apply the silver on. So any areas that's a bit rough, because I don't want it to be totally smooth, remember, but any areas that's a bit rough, it just allows me to see the sort of stuff that the dry brushing will pick up. So anywhere I've got concerns, a bit like there, it might need a bit more rubbing around in this area. That's roughly really how I work out where to put the dry brushing just before to sand it down. This has probably had about 1 can of spray filler on. To be honest, I've repaired the sides. So those of you who see my early videos will know I repaired all this bit. I haven't sprayed that yet because that will be covered with the final coat, because it's probably about another bit of spray primer I've got to put on this just to get it where I need to get it. So I sprayed a can of it on really, and let that dry. And really, once you use it and spray it on that thick, you need to let it dry really for more than 24 hours, otherwise it just starts to peel off when you get it wet. So it's worthwhile just waiting time and getting it dry. Inside the recesses, you can see I've actually carved them out just a little bit better. You're not going to see any of this anyway, but it's just for workmanship. I've done that a little bit better, and I've also reinforced the back as I said I would, using the fiberglass resin. Again on the back here, you won't see any of this really once I've padded it out and once it's sprayed, but that is reinforced now, and I'll finish off the edges just to make it nice and smooth. And that there is quite rigid, in fact you can't bend it at all, so that's ready for the Velcro to go on. So it pretty much is probably about, I would say, about 85% finished. So the next stage is just to use some water and some water carbide paper, some like dry paper. I'm going to start off with the most aggressive stuff, which is 240. Really, that's about as rough as I want it to be, 240 at this stage. And then I usually finish off this slightly spraying again with some P400. Although towards the end, and certainly on the hat, the helmet should I say, I actually used P1200 just for a really fine thing, which just took a bit of the shine off, and that's perhaps sometimes what I use when I'm distressing work as well. So the next stage really is to rub this down, apply another coat, and then to put the base coats on. And this time I'll probably do a quick video shoot of how I've actually sprayed it, and you should end up obviously with the effects that we've got here, so you can see where the detail's gone in, and that's pretty much the same effect that I get by putting the graphite or the pastel onto the stuff before I actually sand it down. Okay, so hopefully that will be the next stage, and then after that we just join it all together with a bit of luck. Right, that's probably going to take the best part of 2 hours, 3 hours. Then I'll let it dry and respray it again, and we'll have a look at it just before I put on the base coat. Well, it's just going to be a few short video clips showing how to paint really. You can see I've actually put the things in there ready to go. Some of the areas have shown the damage on, so I haven't sanded it so it's smooth. It's just got that rough effect that the silver paint will pick up. So it's just knowing when to stop really. Colours I should be using, base coat is going to be orange, and I'm using the Gloss Super plastic coat stuff that you can get from here. I'm then going to spray the red over it, but I'll show you in stages, and then finish off with enamel. These are gloss, but once you put the silver paint on to distress them, and basically it's going to go like a dully colour. So the first thing is I'm going to spray in some areas, not completely over, in some areas where I want the orange to come through. So that's the first stage. Just make sure you're using extractor fans as well, and for this or spraying in a ventilated area. And I'll show you the next stage in a second. Okay, so this is the next stage. You can see what I've done is I've only sprayed the underneath, which is going to be orange, just where the wear is going to be on the top on here. So I've sort of sprayed it as if it's going in one direction only, and just catching the areas that I need to do. If you use the same type of paint, then I can literally spray straight over there with the red without destroying, simply because it won't react, so it won't crack or anything like that. So the next stage is to give it a blast over now with the red, and I'll show you an example of that once that's done as well. Okay, so we started to put the red now. The red's completely coated on the outside. Obviously where the light is, it's reflecting off because it's still wet. But hopefully you should be able to see there's still some orange that's come through on the red, and we're also now starting to get a little piece of the chest armour, the unevenness. It's going to make the top. Now the next stage, and I'm going to do this while it's still wet as well, is to actually spray the black, but whereas we've got the orange that's going upwards, I'm going to do the black coming the opposite way before the final coat of red gloss. So that will pretty much be the next stage now, and I'll show you the next stage then. Okay, so we're putting the black thing on now. You can see where I've just built it up and roughly put it in, and I'm just going to build those up now with the red gloss, and once the red gloss is on, that should be it then, ready to dry, ready for the final brushing, dry brushing of the silver. So that's pretty much the stage that we're at now.